Hello, everyone. In this session, we are discussing a Dalit poet Jyoti Lanjeva poem, Mother. This is prescribed for 6th semester BA Optional English students of Bangalore University. Paper 7, Literatures of India, an Introduction. Before we discuss the poem, let us know about Jyoti Lanjeva. She is a Dalit woman writer, a poet, is a well-known figure in Marathi literature. Born in Nagpur on 25th November 1950, Jyoti Lanjeva grew up in a family that had dedicated itself to the upliftment of the downtrodden. After completing her MPhil and PhD, she became professor and head of the Marathi department at SB College, Nagpur. A noted writer, poet, feminist scholar, and a social activist, she has authored more than 14 books, out of which 4 are poetry collections. A compilation of her poems translated into English has come out in the form of the book Red Slogans in the Green Grasses. A recipient of numerous literary awards and fellowships, Jyoti Lanjeva is a force to reckon with in the field of contemporary Indian women's poetry. Like many poets, Jyoti dislikes being fitted into slots. Her poetry speaks on diverse themes such as motherhood, womanhood, friendships, human values, and love. It speaks of the socio-cultural oppression of women belonging to the poorest strata of the Indian society. She comments, "My poetry is about humanity and its seemingly endless struggles for survival, for change, for justice, and sometimes humanity happens to the oppressed, marginalized." The poem that we are discussing today is Mother. It's a poem written in Marathi by the poet and translated into English. Let me read the poem first. I have never seen you wearing one of those gold border saris with a gold necklace, with gold bangles, with fancy sandals. Mother, I have seen you burning the soles of your feet in the harsh summer sun, hanging your little ones in a cradle on the acacia tree, carrying barrels of tar, working on the road construction crew. I have seen you with a basket of earth on your head, rags, bound on your feet, giving a sweaty kiss to the naked kid who came tottering over to you. Working for you daily wage, working, working. I have seen you turning back to the tides of tears, trying to ignore your stomach's growl, suffering parched throat and lips, building a dam on a lake. I have seen you for a dream of a 4 mud walls, stepping carefully, pregnant, on the scaffolding of a skyscraper, carrying a hod of wet cement on your head. I have seen you in evening untying the end of your sari for the coins to buy salt and oil, putting a 5 paisa coin on a little hand saying, "Go eat candy," taking the little bundle from the cradle to your breast saying, "Study, become an Ambedkar," and let the basket fall from my hands. I have seen you sitting in front of the stove, burning your very bones to make coarse bread and a little something to feed everybody, but half fed yourself, so there would be a bit in the morning. I have seen you washing clothes and cleaning pots in different houses, rejecting the scrap of food offered to you with pride, covering yourself with a sari that had been mended so many times, saying, "Don't you have a mother or sister?" to anyone who looked at you with the lust in his eyes. I have seen you on a crowded street with a market basket on your head, trying always to keep your head covered with the end of your sari, chasing anyone who nudged you deliberately with your sandal only in your hand. I have seen you working until sunset, piercing the darkness to turn toward home, then forcing from the door that man who staggered in from the hooch hut. I have seen you at the front of the long march, the end of your sari tucked tightly at the waist, shouting, "Change the name," taking the blow of the police stick on your upraised hands, going to jail with her head held high. I have seen you saying when your only son fell martyr to police bullets, "You died for Bhim, your death means something," saying boldly to the police, "If I had two or three sons, I would be fortunate they would fight on." I have seen you on your deathbed giving that money you earned rack picking to the Diksha Bhumi, saying with your dying breath, "Live in unity, fight for Baba, don't forget him," and with your very last breath, "Jai Bhim." I have seen you, I have never seen you, even wanting a new broad bordered sari. Mother, I have seen you. Jyoti Langeva, a Marathi poetess famous for composing poems on Dalit stream, her poem has been translated into English by S.K. Vimla Trot and Sylvia Martin. The present poem, Mother, is one of the most emotional and sensitive poems. Dalit and women before independent were dominated in all aspects of life by the people. To be both Dalit and female was a curse. The type of life the poet's mother was living is filled with unjust. She fought for the justice, and at last she died by the hands of the protectors of law. The poem characterizes the mother and highlights struggles and unfair tradition that the Dalit woman underwent before being killed. In the name of religion, women have been deprived even from the human rights since the time immemorial. In the name of culture, they have been burnt alive along with their dead husbands, and in the name of the civilized manners. They are being still kept inside the four walls of confinement. It seems that they are born only for tolerating plights and predicaments caused by male dominated society. In an anthology of Dalit literature edited by Mulkraj Anand, some of Lanjeva poems have been published. Mother is the most heart-touching poems through which the poetess has not only focused on the women plight, but also the worst condition of downtrodden people in India. She says, "I have never seen you wearing one of those gold bordered saris with the gold necklace, gold bangles, fancy sandals." It tells that she has never seen her mother in dress which is owned by the elite women of her time. The reasons are social classification and poverty. According to the social rule of that time, lower class people were not supposed to wear any gold bangles and should wear the brass bangles instead. Also, lower class people were so poor that They couldn't afford the golden bangles. The low class people have to work hard to live. The poet's mother was working in the construction site. She doesn't have a proper house, so she used to keep her kid in the cradle. She used to look after them while working on the construction site. The entire road construction had been done by them. The children had to face the harsh summer sun. While they were busy in working, the children were in the cradle of the torn sari under the open sky where there were no shadows. The poetess has lively depicted such picture of plight of women. She says, I have seen you with a basket of earth on your head, rags bound on your feet, giving a sweaty kiss to the naked child. The line shows the working life of a mother. Poet shows us the visual picture of mother working hard for the daily wages without wearing anything on her feet. She is being tortured by her works as well as children. The working women do not have rest and pleasure. Children of working class women have not seen clean and smile faces of their mothers. But it doesn't mean that their mothers do not love them. Of course, they love the children by the core of their hearts. They kiss the children, although they were wrapped in dirty, sweaty, yet they do not forget the children. I have seen you turning the tide of tears, trying to ignore your stomach's growl, suffering parched throat and lips. The mother, being hungry, do great deeds. The entire construction of dams and roads were done by them. It is very sorry to say that these unlucky mothers did not enjoy their lives happily. I have seen you evening untying the end of your sari for the coins to buy salt and oil, putting a 5 paisa coin on a little hand saying, Go eat candy. Taking the little bundle from the cradle to your breast, saying, Study, become an Ambedkar, and let the basket fall from my hands. The poet has great belief in Ambedkar and Ambedkarite education. The line shows how that only Ambedkar like education can eradicate such prolonged plight of women. These lines draw the attention to the present and forthcoming generation toward qualitative education and give a message that there is no other way to make free our mothers from such a plight other than the best education. Baba Saheb has been quoted in the lines because he had achieved the highest place in the galaxy of knowledge and wisdom. It is expected that the children would learn excellent knowledge, attaining great wisdom, and bring forth women emancipation for which Baba Sahib Ambedkar had sacrificed his life and pleasures. I have seen you sitting in front of the stove, burning your very bone to make coarse bread and a little something to feed everybody, but half fed yourself, so there would be a bit in the morning. Here, the poet has depicted the domestic life not only for her mother, but also of all the mothers of poor people, particularly of the downtrodden people. They prepare food very cheaper and scanty for their children, but unfortunately, they parents remain hungry because of insufficient food arrangements in the family. Somehow, they manage to give food for their children. This is the reality of Indian society. Even today, Such happiness can be viewed everywhere. Mark these lines. I have seen you washing clothes and cleaning pots in different households, rejecting the scraps of food offered to you with pride. The wearing of sari automatically indicates that the particular woman belongs to the particular caste. Even today, such wearing of sari is symbolically identifiable. In many regions of India, the downtrodden women wear particular attire that is enough to identify them. The upper caste people do not treat them humanly. Such women have tolerated numerous panics and predicaments. Their contribution in the development of nation is so great, she says. I have seen you saying when your only son fell martyr to police bullets. You died for Bhima. Your death means I would be fortunate if they would fight on. So the above images of Indian women show us the mercilessness of the so-called upper caste. The images shows us the differences between saying and doing. They say Hindu ek raho. Whoever is saying this, it is implemented, however, somehow comes ahead to resist upon exploitation. The so-called Hindu openly come to suppress and clutch the resistance. The innumerable downtrodden sons have sacrificed their lives in serving the nation. Their mothers feel pride as their sons were heroes like the great Bhim or Baba Sahib Ambedkar. She says, I have seen you on your deathbed giving away the money that you earned. Through this poem, the poetess Jyoti Lanjeva has beautifully portrayed the image of Indian women belonging to downtrodden communities. The poem represents the entire women life. No aspect has been left touched. The Dalit women, even today, are compelled to live the cheaper life. They are still devoted towards their undesirable duties. They are rendering their best contribution in the development of nations. Their sons have sacrificed their lives in military services. Several have become martyrs in freedom movements. In spite of this, all Dalit women could not wear good attire. They could not relish delicious food. Dalit Dalit women is made to face hardships and is ill-treated as a result of her caste and class. The oppression is due to gender is evident in the ill-treatment meted out to the Dalit women by her husband. I have seen you working until sunset, piercing the darkness to turn toward home, then forcing from the door that man who staggered in front from the hooch hut. The oppression also becomes evident in the fact that she has to bear all the responsibilities of the family without any help from her husband, including that of making a hut as described here. I have seen you for a dream of four mud walls, stepping carefully, pregnant on the scaffolding of a skyscraper, carrying a hoard of wet cement on your head. Dalit women's oppression is triple jeopardy of oppression by double distinct, discrete patriarchy of their own caste and on overlapping patriarchy of the upper caste and of poverty. The oppression of discrete patriarchy becomes evident in the poem when her husband tries to stagger in from the hooch hut. The oppression of overlapping patriarchy is evident when she is nudged deliberately by other men on the crowded street with a market basket on her head and wears a sari that has been mended many a times, thereby making her husband harassment by men of other caste and her back-breaking poverty is evident that the Dalit woman has to face all these. The triple jeopardy of oppression by the double patriarchies make the situation of a Dalit woman unique, thereby rejecting universalism in the favor of difference. The poem celebrates the uniqueness of the difference as the situation of a Dalit woman doesn't match that of a woman from any other socio-economic strata. The reason for being that oppression that is done on the Dalit woman is unique in nature. The Dalit feminism celebrates identity of Dalit women in her strength, labor, and resilience. In the present poem, the Dalit woman's strength is manifested when she is seen at the front of Long March, which took place in Maharashtra in 1956, when about 3 million untouchables converted to Buddhism with the end of her sari tucked tightly at the waist, shouting to change the name, taking the blow of the police strike on her upraised hands, and going to jail with her head held high for the noble cause of liberating the Dalits from the shackles of the caste system or in Hinduism. Her backbreaking labor gets manifested in her toils throughout the day. I have seen you sitting in front of the stove, burning your bones. Her resilience comes to the fore when her son dies in a result of the police bullets during the Dalit moment. Moreover, she remains unfazed and states that she would have sacrificed more sons for the noble cause. The Dalit woman of the poem emerges as a feminist who is well aware of her rights. She is militant to a point that she is ready to brave the blows of the police stick and even imprisonment for the Dalit cause. The idea of motherhood in the context of Dalit feminism is characterized by realistic details and vivid descriptions, such as hunger, poverty, hard physical labor, sexual exploitation, and humiliation, which is balanced with the compassion and sacrifice of motherhood. The poem is based on the politics of Dalit feminism, talking about the rights of the Dalit women who are marginalized in a society and are subjected to triple form of oppression on the grounds of caste, class, and gender. It pays a tribute to motherhood and the spirit of Dalit women. The poem is an attempt to broke the rights of the Dalit women so that they too are empowered in the society and are able to lead respectable lives. In the poem, the Dalit woman whose life is described is basically the other, and her voice has been ignored or has gone unheard because she has lack of agency to make her voice heard. The poem belongs to the domain of protest literature and is didactic in nature as it aims to reflect the harsh lives of Dalit women and bring out change in their condition.